Every gamer has had this thought. What if I went pro? What if this was my job? Sounds like a dream, right? Let's find out what that dream actually costs, and I'll show you exactly how two real players actually got there. Before we go further, meet two real players. Faker, a League of Legends champion who's been pro since 2013 and still one of the best in the world today. And Bugha, who won $3 million at just 16 years old at the Fortnite World Cup. Totally different games, totally different personalities, but almost the exact same path to the top. Here's the gap nobody tells you about. A casual player games for fun, a few hours a week. A pro trains like an athlete, 6 to 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. That's not a hobby anymore. That's a full-time job with no days off. Step 1, pick one game and commit. Not 5 games you're okay at. One game you're going to master. Bugha didn't become a world champion by hopping between 10 different games. He went all in on one. Here's a real number. Top pros react in under 200 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. It takes years of repetition to train your brain and hands to move that fast, automatically, without even thinking. Most pros spend 2 to 4 years just building the muscle memory to compete. Not weeks, not months. Years of repeating the same movements until your hands do them without your brain even having to ask. Before Bugha won that $3 million, he was just a regular teenager. After school, he'd practice for hours, sometimes straight through until 1 or 2 in the morning. On weekends, he'd wake up, warm up his hands for 30 minutes, then call his team to go over strategy. That was his job, years before anyone knew his name. Faker, one of the greatest players of all time, still follows a strict team schedule today. He wakes up late morning, trains in 2 separate 3-hour blocks, afternoon and evening, with breaks in between. Structure, not chaos, is what got him 3 world championships. Here's the twist. More hours doesn't automatically mean better. 4 hours of focused practice with a clear goal beats 12 tired hours of just clicking buttons. Pros call this deliberate practice. Casuals just call it playing. Here's something interesting. Faker doesn't just review his own games. He spends real time studying how other pro teams around the world play, picking up new ideas and strategies he'd never think of alone. For most players, watching your own replays like a detective is the real secret weapon. Every death, every mistake, every bad decision gets studied. This one habit alone separates people who improve from people who stay stuck. Here's the part that surprised people. Pro gamers train their bodies too. Faker exercises regularly, not to look a certain way, but in his own words, so his body simply holds up under the pressure and doesn't break down. Pros protect their sleep like it's part of training, because it is. Faker has said he tends to sleep a lot and treats it as a genuine priority, not an afterthought, because bad sleep destroys your reaction time and your decision-making. And here's something pros train just as hard as their aim, their mind. Faker meditates before matches to clear his head and even uses stretching as part of his calming routine before huge, high-pressure games. Here's a detail almost nobody expects. Faker keeps small houseplants around his space, not for decoration. He says looking after them and just seeing the color green genuinely helps calm his mind between intense matches. Pros treat every loss as information, not failure. Faker himself has said he used to spiral after a loss, but now treats every failure as a learning step forward instead. Casual players get mad and close the game. Pros open a notebook. In esports, your rank is basically your resume. Teams look at how high you've climbed before they even consider you. Getting to the very top ranks takes hundreds, sometimes thousands of focus matches. Once you're good enough, you start scrimmaging, practice matches against other serious teams. This is where you learn to work with teammates under real pressure. Not just solo. Even Bugha, a solo champion, called his teammates constantly to talk strategy before big events. Here's something people don't expect. Real esports teams have coaches, analysts, even sports psychologists, just like traditional sports teams. Faker's coaching staff constantly feeds him data. What strategies are trending, what other teams are picking. Going pro means becoming part of a whole support system, not just you alone. In 2026, being good at the game isn't enough. Teams scout players on social media and streaming platforms. Faker has millions of followers watching him stream even outside of official matches. That means posting your progress and building an audience even before you go pro. Tournaments are where everything gets tested. But even during breaks between matches, players aren't relaxing. They're running last-minute drills, reviewing strategy, warming up again. Tournament days are exhausting, win or lose. Picture this. 16 years old, 23,000 fans in the stadium, millions more watching online. Bugha played 6 matches that day, about 20 minutes each. All those years of practice came down to one single afternoon. Let's talk money. Entry-level pros earn around $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Top tier players in the biggest games can earn $200,000 to $500,000 or more through salary, tournaments, and sponsorships. And then there are the outliers. Bugha won $3 million in a single afternoon. Here's the catch nobody puts in the highlight reel. A professional esports career lasts, on average, only 3 to 7 years. Most players retire in their mid to late 20s. Faker, still competing well past that age, is actually the rare exception, not the rule. Let's talk real numbers because this is the part most people skip. In the biggest games, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, your odds of reaching the pro level are estimated at around 1 in a million. Even in more forgiving games, it's roughly 1 in 10,000. To put that in perspective, that's a tougher shot than becoming a professional football player. So, why do most people who dream of going pro never make it? Reason 1, game hopping. Jumping between 5 different games means you never build deep enough skill in any single one. Reason 2, ignoring their body, skipping sleep, skipping exercise, sitting for 15 hours straight. This doesn't make you better. It burns you out faster than anyone else in the race. Reason 3, playing without a goal. Just clicking buttons for hours isn't training, it's autopilot. Pros always know exactly what they're working on. Casuals just hope they'll get better eventually. Reason 4, they can't handle losing. Every player loses a lot. The players who make it are the ones who can lose 50 times and still show up calm on match 51. Reason 5, blaming teammates instead of reviewing their own mistakes. It's always easier to blame someone else, but growth only happens when you're honest about your own mistakes first. Reason 6, chasing expensive gear instead of fixing bad habits. A better mouse or a fancier chair won't fix poor decision making. Both Faker and Bugha became champions through practice and structure, not through the priciest setup in the room. Here's the mindset shift that separates the ones who make it. Don't compare yourself to the pro you see on stream today. Compare yourself to who you were 3 months ago. Slow, steady improvement beats chasing overnight talent. People love calling Bugha's win overnight success. It wasn't. Before that stadium moment, there were years of school night practice sessions nobody was watching. The stadium was just the moment the work became visible. Here's something most people don't realize. You don't have to be the best player in the world to have a career in esports. Coaching, analyzing, shoutcasting, event production, content creation. The industry needs way more than just players. Here's the honest truth. Most people who dream of going pro never will, not because they're not talented enough, but because the daily discipline required is brutal and most people quit before the results show up. Strip away the games, the ages, the countries. Faker and Bugha share the exact same 3 things: structure, consistency, and the willingness to keep practicing on the days nobody's watching. Here's a risk that ends careers early: repetitive strain injuries, carpal tunnel, tendonitis, back pain from years of sitting. Pro teams now hire trainers specifically to help players avoid the injuries that quietly end promising careers. Burnout is the other silent career ender. Some of the old school training days involved players grinding 12 to 16 hours straight and burning out fast. Modern teams have learned this the hard way and now build in real rest. So, should you try anyway? If you love the game enough to practice it, even when it's hard, even when you're losing, even when nobody's watching, that's the real test, not talent, discipline. You don't need a pro contract to start training like one. Pick one game, set a goal for every session, review your mistakes, protect your sleep. That's literally how Faker and Bugha both started, exactly where you are right now. If you're serious, here's a real starting structure. Months 1 to 3, learn the fundamentals, climb to a solid rank. Months 4 to 8, enter small tournaments, start reviewing every match. Months 9 to 12, find a team, start scrimmaging seriously. One thing both Faker and Bugha had: real support. Bugha's own dad was the one who introduced him to gaming in the first place. Having people who believe in what you're building matters more than people think. Here's something important. If after all this going pro doesn't sound like your dream anymore, that's completely okay. Now you know the real cost of that path. Loving a game and wanting to build your whole life around competing in it are 2 different things. Here's something changing the game right now. Literally. AI is becoming part of pro training. Tools like Aim Labs use AI to build custom practice routines based on your specific weaknesses. Some teams even use AI coaches that can watch your gameplay and tell you the exact moment you should have dodged or predicted or moved differently. Real pro teams are already using this. One major League of Legends organization partnered with AI researchers to study thousands of hours of match footage, and during a real tournament, the AI correctly predicted most of their opponent's strategies before the games even started. Here's the exciting part. AI coaching used to only be available to the richest teams with the biggest budgets. Now, tools like this are becoming available to regular players too, meaning a kid training alone in their bedroom can access coaching insights that used to be locked behind professional contracts. But here's the honest debate happening right now inside the industry. Some pros worry that if everyone trains with the same AI, playstyles start looking the same. Less creativity, less of what made certain players legendary in the first place. Others say it's simply the new normal, the same way traditional sports embraced data and analytics years ago. If you're starting today, this is actually great news. You don't need a professional team's budget to get real coaching feedback anymore. AI tools can help you spot mistakes faster than ever. But the discipline, the sleep, the mindset, none of that changes. AI can help you train smarter. It still can't do the training for you. If there's one single thing that separates the players who make it from the ones who don't, it's this: they treated practice like a job long before anyone paid them for it. Going pro is one of the hardest careers to break into in the entire world. But now you know exactly what it actually takes. Not the highlight reel, the real routine behind it, and two real examples who proved it's possible. Whatever you choose to chase, a pro career, a hobby you love, or something else entirely, chase it with the same structure, consistency, and honesty these players used. That part of the formula works for absolutely anything.